is it with this ChatGPT and the sevens? It's gonna start out with a big number, I already know. And I almost immediately DNF'd it. I don't even know what's happening. Well, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first vlog of 2025. As I was sitting here, I realized this is our very first vlog of the year, which is not intentional, but I've just been having so much fun doing sit-down videos that I was like, you know what, I really miss just chatting and yapping to the camera and catching up with you guys. So, welcome to the first vlog of 2025. If you're new here, my name is Liv. This year I really wanted to challenge myself with my reading vlogs. I wanted to make my reading vlogs kind of feel like they're a game to give me motivation and just add some special, unique, or fun element to my reading vlogs while also reading books that I still want to read. So my original idea for this video was to read romantasy books with you guys, but there are 3 new releases that I'm really excited to read. But I also wanted to say real quick that I cannot take credit for this video idea because I was watching Natalie's video and seeing her do this ChatGPT where she was asking it how many pages that she should read every single day. I just thought that added some type of element of surprise. This video is also going to be considered like a cramming video because we're at the end of February. I want to finish up some books, read a couple more, and we're just going to see how much we can read together. The first book that I do want to finish for this video is B.K. Borison's new book. I'm almost halfway through this right now, and you guys, the hype is real with this one. I am absolutely loving it. B.K. Borison and I don't have the best track record because I tried Love Light Farms, and personally that was not my favorite, but also I'm very picky with Christmas romances. It could have just been the whole Christmas vibe, but either way, I'm super glad that I gave this author a second chance, so I will give you more thoughts on this one later. And then we have the much anticipated Crimson Moth Book 2 Rebel Witch. The first book was like the worst cliffhanger ever, and I cannot believe I'm finally holding this book in my hands. I'm sure a lot of you guys are also excited for this one. It's about a witch and a witch hunter. It's a romantasy. It's high stakes. There's just so much that went down in the first book. I can only imagine what she's gonna pack into the second one. The last book that I'm very curious about is Famous Last Words by Gillian or Gillian McAllister. I've been really eager to try something by this author. I've been super in a thriller mindset lately. All the synopsis of her books sound very intriguing to me, so I'm very eager to see what this one is gonna be like. I don't really know much about it other than we are following a woman whose husband disappears one day and his name is somehow attached to a guy who's holding a bunch of people hostage. I don't know how he got here, what he's doing, what his story is, but like I said, I'm really eager to find out. So this is gonna be our TBR for this video. Very different books for my very different moods currently. Hopefully I will be able to give you some thoughts and opinions and that will help decide if you want to pick these books up yourself. We're gonna start with this book. We're gonna go to ChatGPT and we are going to see how many pages we're reading. I will say I am gonna keep this between 50 and potentially like 200, 250 pages a day, mainly because I do work full-time. I don't have the luxury of being able to sit around and read 24/7. I wish that was the case, but I don't. So we're just gonna ask how many pages should I read? Between 50 to 200 pages. I'm really nervous. It's gonna start out with a big number, I already know. Number of pages you should read depends on a few factors. Reading speed, blah blah blah. I think we're gonna have to refine this just a little bit and ask it, pick a number between 50 to 200. 125 pages. Does that feel like a good challenge for today? I think that sounds like the perfect challenge to start us off. It's a little bit higher of a number. 125 pages though should put me at close to finishing this. So if I feel like an overachiever today, I may even go ahead and fly through the rest of this one. But first things first, we're gonna go ahead and make an iced coffee, get nice and cozy, and go ahead and read our 125 pages for the day. successfully completed day 1 of this reading challenge. I read 125 pages of First Time Caller, so I'm getting pretty close to finishing. I think I have like 120-ish pages left, so I'm hoping we get a big number today for me to be able to finish this. But I also have Patreon reading sprints tonight, so I feel like regardless I'm going to be reading a little bit more than usual. I don't even think I told you guys what this book is about, but basically we have Aiden Valentine, who runs kind of like this late night talk show host where people can call in. They can ask about dating advice or basically anything that has to do with their romantic life or relationships. One night he gets a call from a 12-year-old girl named Maya, who is calling and asking for advice on how to get her mom back on the dating scene. She really just wants her mom to be happy, which enter Lucy, who is our female main lead. Aiden and Lucy obviously end up connecting. I won't spoil how, but this is kind of like a grumpy, I guess, type of relationship or trope, or grumpy sunshine, which isn't usually my favorite, but I feel like Aiden definitely has a valid reason for losing all hope in his romance life and just losing that spark and that magic, because he recently got news that his mom has cancer for the 3rd time, which definitely would be such a hard thing to go through. So if that's something that hits home for you, I almost would skip this book. I mean, it's not a huge looming factor the entire time, but it is brought up multiple times. So if you feel like you're not in the right headspace for that, I would definitely skip this one at this time. I like that we actually have a legit reason as to why Aiden is just so hard on himself and kind of depressed. I feel like a lot of romance books don't necessarily explain it, or there's not a valid reason. So I'm so glad that this feels very realistic, and I'm really loving this one. It's rating like a 4-star so far, so we'll see how I feel by the end. But I am so glad that I gave this author a second chance, because her writing is so bingeable, it's so wholesome, it's so good, and I'm just really loving this one. And I feel like a lot of people were right. I was seeing a lot of 4 and 5 stars, but I feel like this one is definitely worth the hype. We're gonna go ahead and ask GTP what we will be reading today, and I hope it's a big number, because I think I have, like I said, 120 to finish this one. I really am dying to get in Heartless Hunter. I think I'm gonna switch it up a little bit and choose a number between 100 and 250. Oh, we have 187, which is honestly perfect. So that means I will finish this, and then I will get at least 50 pages into this today. I'll definitely make sure to come back and give you my thoughts on this when I'm done. I also want to let you guys know that I have been creating Pinterest mood boards for all of my reads this year. You can definitely follow along on my Pinterest, because I've already made so many boards already, and it just makes me so happy. Specifically, this one definitely has a very like moody red vibe. So if you want to, you can go ahead and follow me over on Pinterest. But before I go ahead and get into reading, I do have a little bit of book mail I thought I would share with you. This first book I have been waiting and dying to see, because I have not seen a single spoiler on the internet, and that is very unusual for Fairy Loot. I feel like they usually come out with a lot of hints, or a lot of people are tagging them. Maybe this one got shipped out a little bit later than usual, I'm not sure, but we have The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. Is this not the most beautiful thing you have ever seen? Look at these sprayed edges. I just know that this is going to be the perfect spring book. The reversible dust jacket, I actually don't mind the purple that much. It's not my favorite. My favorite part about this though is the naked hardback. Like, are you actually kidding me? This is absolutely stunning. Like, look at it all together. And the gold foiling, oh, I'm obsessed with this. The inside end papers also have gold foiling. I cannot get over how beautiful this is. I feel like a lot of people are going to want to get their hands on this one. I'm just so excited to have this edition. It's also our March book club choice for my Patreon, so if you want to join us, you are more than welcome. I'm just so excited to get to this. It feels like it's going to be a little bit more like cozy, kind of romantic-y. Another book that I completely forgot I had pre-ordered is like a reprint of Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. This is absolutely stunning. It's a delightful fantasy romance between a widowed housekeeper and her unlikely sworn protector. When I read that, it just sounded so cute and cozy, and immediately I put this on pre-order. But look at the beautiful end papers. I love the green, and then we kind of have like this plum color. I think that's such a unique choice. The cover is what sold me. This is so intricate and just beautiful. I love this color palette. I've liked what I've read of T. Kingfisher's recent work, but I feel like I'm gonna fall even more in love with her backlist list, so I'm really eager to try this one. I also wanted to thank you guys so incredibly much for 20K on YouTube. I recently hit that goal and I'm just blown away that we're even here at this number. I feel so grateful and just so kind of insecure that all of these people are just here wanting to see me yap about books. Like, that still blows my mind. So thank you for sticking around and being here for 6 years now, I think. But I decided to treat myself to an edition I've been eyeing for literally years, or the day this came out. That is the, I think, illustrated edition of V.E. Schwab's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This is one of my all-time favorite books. The naked hardcover is this gorgeous gray. We not only have foil on the front, but we also have it on the back as well. And this is just so well done. I mean, look at these end papers. That is so creepy. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. But then in the middle, we have some glossy paper with, I think, illustrations from other fans. I don't think that this was like original artwork for this. Look how stunning. This is so cool. I am absolutely obsessed with this. I don't know how many times I can say that, but there's also a bookmark that comes with it. Owning this edition is long overdue for me. I have loved this book and this story for so long. I'm gonna go ahead and get to work on finishing this and starting this for our 187 pages of the day, and I will report back. Welcome to day 3 of this reading challenge. I'm sitting here because I literally just finished wrapping up and filming my March TBR, and I was like, I need to figure out how many pages I'm supposed to read today. But I will say I did not completely hit my goal yesterday. I think I was just so tired for whatever reason, but I did read 120 pages and I did finish this one. But that means I have 67 pages left over, which we are going to add to today's total. So I have a little catching up to do today, but I did want to tell you guys I finished this one and I think I'm going to land on 4 stars. Personally, I think I just really know what I like to read, and I don't think I'm a romance girly like I wish I was. That is not to say this was a bad book, but I also feel like it was nothing special. Even though it was written very well and I love the Sleepless in Seattle subtle vibes, we had lots of sweet tender moments, but I feel like it just lacked a little bit of that depth that I typically like. I also wish we had more of Maya, which is Lucy's daughter, because she was hilarious. She loved Indiana Jones and she loved Lord of the Rings. So there was a lot of Legolas and Aragorn references in this book, which I loved, but there's just something about this that feels a little bit forgettable to me, and I think I'm just so used to the emotions I get from like Abby Jimenez and Emily Henry. I think I'm just a picky romance reader. This was not bad whatsoever, and I'm glad we waited for the spice until pretty close to the very end, because I hate when there's like spicy scenes right at the beginning. Overall, I really enjoyed the concept of them being radio hosts together. It was very Sleepless in Seattle by the end, but I don't want to give like too much away. I really love Aiden. I love that he was working on himself and his depression. I loved Lucy, who's this independent single mom, but yet she still has a healthy relationship with the father. There was just so much going for this story that I definitely didn't hate it, but I also just feel like it was okay. So needless to say, I am very ready to get into Rebel Witch, and I think we might even read this alongside Rebel Witch because I really want this to last even longer, but we'll just see what mood strikes when we check in for our number count, which I am going to do a number between 50 and 200 again. If I have to read 260 pages of Rebel Witch, that's gonna be a lot. So again, that's why I might end up reading the thriller alongside it. But day number 3, we have 127. So that is 194 pages, which is basically 200 pages. So if I get really wrapped up in this today, I could hit 200 pages. But I'm gonna go ahead and get my tabs ready. I'm gonna get my emotions ready, my heart ready. I know this is going to wreck me in the best way possible. I'm so scared, but so excited to start this. Hello friends, welcome to another day of this reading challenge. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is a Sunday and I am actually exhausted today. I did not sleep great last night. I also did not do great on my page count yesterday, which I will catch you up on. But today is just going to be a reading day. All we're gonna do is read. I might go outside and read in the sun. We're gonna get some breakfast and we're just gonna chill. So I believe I left off where I had to read 127 pages, but also make up for 67 from the previous day I did not read, which means that I am now 187 pages into Rebel Witch, and if you cannot tell from the tabs already, I'm absolutely loving this. It's 5 stars already. It definitely has a little bit of a different feel from the first book. I feel like this is a little bit slower and there's a lot more yearning, but thankfully Kristen knows how to write a slow burn so well. The language is not cringy. Like, oh, I am just fully submersed. I don't know if this is a spoiler, but they're basically still enemies to lovers in this book. They're unsure how each other feel. We still have the witch and the witch hunter situation, but what I did not realize is this was going to take place on a boat called the Arcadia. So it's kind of giving historical Titanic vibes in a way, which I was not expecting. And I also feel like we haven't had a ton happen yet, and what we have had was a little bit predictable. But again, I don't want to go too much into spoilers, especially if you haven't read the first one. But I flew through 170 pages. Like, I didn't even feel like I was reading. So I'm hoping to read more of this today. I hope we get a high number for today. So yesterday I did not vlog because I just needed a break. I feel like I've been doing a lot of filming lately, and there's some days where I just don't feel like getting ready. I did today because it's helping me feel a little bit more awake. My page count for yesterday was only 87. For some reason it kept giving me 127, 187. I'm like, these are the exact same numbers that I've had this entire time we've been doing this. So I tried it a second time and it gave me 83. So to give myself a little bit of a break from Rebel Witch, I did end up starting Famous Last Words, and I almost immediately DNF'd it. I feel so guilty, but what made me DNF this 30 pages in, because yes, I did give it 30 pages, is the fact that we have 2 point of views. One is from this mother who's going back to work after maternity leave, and the other viewpoint is this guy Niall, who's a police officer, and I do not like following police officers. I know that sounds weird, but I don't really care for like a detective story. Like, I want to get down to the meat of the story. I want to be invested in our main character, and I just feel like I couldn't do that already. Like, this was just not sucking me in, and 2025 we're reading good books only. So I did meet my quota for 30 pages, but then I was like, well, what could I read that's a new release that I own? And none of my books, of course, sounded good. One book that I've been seeing everywhere lately is Cross My Heart by Meg Collins. I don't actually own this book. So yes, I did end up purchasing this book for this video, but honestly, I just want to see what the hype is all about with this one. I'm trying to find like another new favorite all-time thriller author, and I think Meg Collins might be my next favorite. Now I understand why this is getting such good reviews, because even though it is domestic, it does feel a little bit psychological. Basically, we start off this story about a girl who is emailing a guy who his wife passed away, and she ended up with her heart because she needed a heart transplant. They're not allowed to give each other personal information like address or anything, but he does end up responding back, and I guess one of the nurses or something ended up telling our main character that, hey, the person's heart who you have is actually the wife of this famous author. She kind of ends up stalking him a little bit and follows him on Instagram, and I don't know, something about it is making it feel psychological, kind of like a stalker story, and I'm really invested very early on. Our main character works at her mother or her parents' bridal shop, but apparently she broke up with her fiance at the altar, I think a year ago, and got dumped and has been very hurt by that. So she's already kind of bitter going into work every day at this bridal shop. She's just described as a very interesting, kind of unique person. She has pink hair, and I don't know if that's gonna have anything to do with the story later on. I'm just really intrigued. I already feel like we're following an unreliable narrator, but also this author guy has this rumor where apparently his wife's death may have not been an accident. So I'm very intrigued to see what's gonna happen. I love reading mystery thrillers on my Kindle because I fly through them so quickly, and then we might divide up our page count with this or just read extra from this today. So we're gonna go ahead and see what our page count is for the day. I'll pick 137. What is it with this ChatGPT and the 7s? It's already irritating me, but regardless, 137 is a great number. I can definitely hit that goal today. But before we get started, I'm going to turn on an ambience, make myself a coffee and some breakfast. I actually made some banana bread yesterday. It didn't turn out super great, but it was also the first time I tried this recipe because I typically make it vegan. Either way, it tastes great with a little butter on it. So we're gonna fuel ourselves up for some reading all day, get cozy. I will be back with some thoughts later. to wrap up this video because I did end up finishing both of the books I was in the middle of, which was Rebel Witch and also Cross My Heart. I feel like things got a little bit muddled. I think yesterday was 98 and then the day before was 73 pages. So I feel like I just got a little lost near the end of this because I kept losing track because I literally blazed through both of these. First of all, we have Rebel Witch. I also gave 5 stars. If I want to be a little picky, I might give it 4.5 because I feel like there was something so good about Heartless Hunter. I feel like that one just can't be beat, but what she did so well in this one is she gave us the Gideon and Rune yearning that we were hoping for. They definitely still had their problems and had their issues, but I was screaming for them at the end. The end did feel a little bit rushed, but I feel like for a duology, this was very well paced. I was completely submerged from start to finish, just like Heartless Hunter. This was action-packed, this was magical, this got really dark. It was a little bit predictable at times, but that definitely did not take me out of the story because I feel like her writing is just so good. I do not have any major complaints with this one. I could pick it apart a little bit, but we're not here to be negative. All I have to say is if you have not read this duology or you have not started it yet, there's a big reason why the first one ended up on a lot of people's favorites of the year. Even if you are new to the fantasy genre, especially if you are a romance reader, you could definitely get into these. And then we have Cross My Heart by Megan Collins. Oh my gosh, I feel like I just went on a whole emotional roller coaster with this mystery thriller. I feel like it's been such a while since I've read a really good domestic thriller that has sucked me in that was not written by Ruth Ware or Lisa Jewell. But Megan Collins for sure is making me want to go down a road of reading her backlist books. I don't know if this book was exactly 4 stars. It might have been a little bit less because I feel like it definitely drug in the beginning. Once we hit that 50% mark, something crazy big happened and I was like, where do we go from here? Like, I don't even know what's happening. I just love Megan Collins for the small things like mentioning Aragon, and she was talking about Taylor Swift so many times. I felt like this book did keep me guessing, but I will say the end was kind of a letdown. I got a little bit lost near the end, so for some reason that did like push my rating down a little bit, but I feel like this could be a really good thriller for almost anyone. But I feel like the whole synopsis in and of itself was super unique because we have our main character who got a heart transplant, so there's this lot of like good and evil monologue where she's like, okay, I have the heart of another person. Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? There was just so many interesting quotes and things that made you think throughout this book where there's more depth to it than the typical mystery thriller. This story brought a fresh take on the mystery thriller genre, and from what I remember, I don't think there's any major content warnings. I really love this one. Definitely much better than Trying Famous Last Words. It was just too slow for me. I asked a couple other people too what they thought of this by the end and they just said it was okay. I don't know if this is going to be the author for me or not. This one was definitely my least favorite. Obviously I DNF'd it, but because these two are on completely different spectrums with the genre, well, I guess you do have some romance or a lot of romance in this one. I don't know which one I would say I liked better. They were both 4 stars to me and I think I'm going to keep it at that. And then of course my favorite reads of the week was Rebel Witch because I've been waiting for this for so long. I think it's my second anticipated release of the year next to the Hunger Games book, and I'm just so glad that I finally read this. I finished off another duology and I can't wait to read more from her. So what did we learn from this reading challenge? I would say this reading challenge definitely will get you out of a reading slump. There is nothing more motivating than putting a little tab in your book in the point that you're supposed to reach every single day before you go to bed. Doing this made me extra focused this week because I've been reading very slowly this year and there's nothing wrong with that, but definitely would recommend trying this if you are in a reading slump or you just want to challenge yourself. But thank you guys so incredibly much for watching. I definitely have wanted to spice up some of my reading vlogs a little bit this year, kind of go easy on the b-roll but focus a little bit more on the reading. This was super fun. If you guys enjoyed this video, before you leave me like a pink heart emoji for Cross My Heart. Thank you for stopping by. I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this and I will see you in my next video.